Hi guys, it's Steve back with you. This is part 2 of a series of videos on doing resin casting and making moulds. So where do we start? Well, let's talk rubber. So we have, this is the most common one I use. This is from DWR Plastics. This is a A28 rubber. The A rating is sort of how hard the rubber is. For really fine detail, small stuff, you want to look at an A15. Which is really quite thin. The A28 is sort of more of a mid-range standard for like the plinths, etc. But you can also go up to, where's the A rating on this? This is a 45, 55 shore rating. So this is good for like bases, for models. It's a stronger rubber. What do you gain from the stronger rubber? The molds last longer, because obviously as you pull your items out after you cast them, it does wear the molds over time. But you sacrifice detail for strength, so it's finding the balance for what you're doing. Right, so let's get cracking. What do we need to know first? Well, we need to know how much rubber we want. So we made up our little box in our previous video. I've stuck these down. I've actually stuck them down with double-sided tape. Fingers crossed, because I've never tried it with double-sided tape. If it doesn't work, I'll get some proper bonding double-sided tape. But we'll give it a go. They seem firm enough. So we get our calipers out, a piece of paper and a calculator, and I'll be right back. Right, we've got a box. How do we work out how much rubber you need to stick in this box to make it work? Well, I have a formula, come from Adam originally. I've got word of 28mm. It's a bit of a weird one because you actually measure it in inches to get the weight in grams, which is a bit of a strange one. So best way of doing this would be a pair of calipers. But obviously you can use a ruler if you need to. Zero these in. So, just measure our box. Let's get it across the top. Okay. So we have 4.2. Say 2.8. And how deep is that? Nice thing with calipers is you can measure depth using the end. So if I put it on top of the plinths, I know it's 0.577. Then I'm going to add 3 mil. Do I add 3 or do I add 4? Let's add 4 for generosity because we can use a bit. So 0.7. 0.7. So that's that. Now we get a calculator. This day and age, probably a phone. So somewhere on here I have a calculator. So we take 4.2, learn to type, start again. 4.2 times 2.8 equals times 0.7 equals 8.232. 8.232. And now for the magic number, we times our result by 18.5. 152.29. 0.292. Lovely, that makes it easy not. So let's call it 153. So 153, we need another figure. So we know we need 153 of rubber. Now we've got to work out the catalyst, so we need a 3% catalyst. So we take 153, divide it by 100, equals 1.53 times 3, 4.59, 4.6. Do we go with 3 or do we go with 2? You can go with 2, which obviously gives you a longer work time. 3 is quite a nice percentage. 4 it sets a bit too quick. Because we're not using pressure pots and things, we need to get the air bubbles out, so we need working time, so we could bring this down a little bit. Right, we've got our measurements, and we want between 2% and 3% catalyst. So if we've got 153 grams, we're looking for silicone rubber, we're looking between 3.1 and 4.6 grams. The difference is the lower the catalyst, it takes longer to cure, but it's easier to work with, longer work time, easier to get the bubbles out. But it also gives you a figure, so don't panic if you accidentally put a bit too much in. With 2%, it would take 7 hours to set. With 3%, it takes 3 hours to set. But to be honest, I tend to pour it, get all the air bubbles out, and just leave it overnight. Just leave it completely alone. Give it a good 12 hours or so to set, if not longer, and then break it out. So the next thing to do is sort out some scales and some pots. Right, we're going to measure out our rubber first. So we said 100 grams. Come on. I might have enough in it. I've got plenty more if we need it. Yep. There isn't much in here actually, so I'm going to put the extra in. Always a little drip mold catalyst mix. You're going to lose some as you mix it anyway. Right, put the lid back on that so the cat didn't stick her foot in it. So we have our A. To that, oh, don't put the spoon. The only trouble is if you drop the spoon in it, it mucks up your measurements. Come on. Right, give that a scrape. Good thing is you've got to take your time at this stage. So we will need to add 2 or 3 grams of catalyst. But before we do that, what we'll do is get a release agent on the mould. Because the second you put the cat in, the timer starts. So there's a cat, we'll put that over there out the way. We need some release spray. So I'm just going to take this outside and give it a quick puff, and literally just coat it, let it dry, make sure it's dry before you put any silicone in, otherwise you get problems. Right, I've sprayed up the mould, it's got some release in it. We'll reset our scales. This is the thing I really hate about electronic scales, is the second you turn it back, they turn themselves off. Hence, try and measure things separately and then stick it together afterwards. Right. Silicone moulding rubber catalyst. That's cool. I don't want to put in the one for the resin, otherwise we'd be in trouble. So we said we want about 3, let's say 3 grams. So let's take this up to 117. Or 18, I'm not fussy. Right, so that's in. Now the timer started. So we get rid of the scales. We've got to give it a good mix. Now the problem we've got is obviously we've got to be careful of air bubbles, so it's be very gentle. So I'm using an actual old teething spoon here. They're rubber tipped, so they bend when they hit the sides. So just take your time. I'll try not to fold in any air bubbles. You should end up with a mix that's nice and pink without any streaks in it, so just keep going a minute. Make sure you scrape the sides and the bottom. Right. A couple of tricks I was told. Never pour from the cup you're mixing. So the first thing you're going to do is stretch it. So you get a string. You're going to stretch it because this helps pop out the air bubbles. I'm going to do it again in a minute. It's like being back at school with chemistry, isn't it? Turn this round here, right? Spin. The reason you're doing this is because however way you mix it, you've got any ribs or ridges in the cup on the side, you can guarantee you're going to get a bit that doesn't mix. So this just gets rid of that problem. Come on. So we're obviously going to lose some somewhere, so hence we've rounded a lot of our figures up a little bit as we've gone. Right. So what you can do is bang it. Oh, there's a bit of white something in there. That is... I suppose the refreshing thing is it's not a cat hair. Right, I think that's fine, it's gone. Right. I'm going to get some of the air bubbles out of this. So here I'm using a scroll saw as a vibrating table. I've seen this done with Operation Board Game and all sorts. And yes, it drives the dogs nuts. But it helps bring the air bubbles up, as you can see. So we'll go around and pop them in a second, and then we'll pour it into the mould. Right, we pop some bubbles out. I'll get our mould, put it back so you can see it. No, because I can't tip it so you can see it. I'm going to pour this in slowly into a gap. So what I'm aiming to do is get in between them and do it as a slow, long stream. Just come in. And just let it find its own way. Right, I'm going to mix up a tiny bit more to top this up. It will coat over. I want to put this on the vibrating table, let that run for a minute while I mix a little bit more. Right, I think it's set, so we'll give it a go. Just break it out. Oh. Fingers crossed. Right, broken it out. I took one out because it was a bit of thin area there. I must admit I had a little bit of an issue. Don't use normal double-sided tape if you're going to stick them down. Use something like a VHB tape, because a couple of these ended up floating like dumplings. So I had to pour out the silicone, stick them back down. So I gradually break them out. The easy way to do it is I've gone around the top of the scalpel, just take any flash that goes right over the top off. You're always going to get a little bit. So you gradually ease it. And it should, because it's got a lip in it, it's a bit tricky. So you just work, I tend to work a corner out on these. There's two corners. And give it a little wiggle. And out it comes, and that is fairly clean. Grab a pair of small scissors. And any flash that's left, just give it a little trim. So just work our way around. Wheel, there's a little bit there I might take off inside and just so it's sticking out. Just tidied that up a little bit. I'm going to tidy it up too much, just a little bit. There you go. On to the next one. As you can hear, Great British weather. And come on, ease out. That's it. Wiggle. There we go. And same again. A bit in there might take out. Shake. Make sure it's come out. Yep. Right, and as you can see, you've got Tilly's bum in it, so I will sort the rest of these out and I'll be back with you. I've taken the last few out. I've removed my assistant to the other side of the table for a minute, and here we have it. To be fair, I'm actually really quite happy with that. I can't see any air bubbles. The truth of being, when we cast it in the next video, overall, that's worked really well. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, like, share, subscribe. Subscribe, hit the bell if you want to keep in contact with the video stream of these lots so you get the next stage, and I'll see you next week. Cheers!